Hello and welcome back to the NBA DFS Slate Breakdown for November 13th, Wednesday. I am your host, Tyler Wiemann, at FlatTyler83 on your DFS sites and on Twitter. Now, let's get into the slate, but before we do, come join us at LionStar. We do have a 7-day free trial through the App Store. All you got to do, download LionStar app or search LionStar app, LionStar DFS. We should pop up. And you can get a free 7-day trial if you just go through Android or iOS app stores, as long as you have never tried us out before. Now, let's get into the slate. Let's check it out and see what we can come up with here. We got an interesting one. We got 11 games on both sites here for 8 games on DraftKings, 11 games on FanDuel. DraftKings is keeping with the not using the late games. Kind of wish FanDuel would start doing that again as well. Just because, one, it gives us 2 slates in a night, and 2 at 5 or 5:30. You know, we can get off our computers and don't have to keep refreshing everything to see if there's updated news. So we can have a night or a family life if we need. But let's get into this slate. On FanDuel, 11 games, highest owned, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Good old SGA. 10.5K. Dude went absolutely nuts. I almost locked him in last game, and I'm going to have a decent amount of him once again. 10.5K is just too cheap for the usage that he's going to have without Chet and with some of the other injuries on that team. He also is likely to be once again the tallest guy on the Thunder, which is just a wild little stat when your point guard is the tallest guy. Tallest starter, that is. Next, Keon Ellis, 21% owned, 4.1K. He's getting some extra minutes because of no Malik Monk, but he's just not getting quite enough. If this 23 minutes gets to 28, I can see why you could want to use him, but I'm probably going elsewhere. There's enough value on this slate that I don't feel like I need to go there. Next, we got De'Aaron Fox, 8,400. The guy has been consistently right around that 40 line. Now, there's absolutely a chance that he gets over that. The Suns have been a very good matchup for guards for the last year and a half, so I don't mind having some De'Aaron Fox at all. Let's get to some pivots, though. Jalen Suggs, 6,900, 10% owned versus the Pacers, a team that we love to face. Now, there's no Paolo Banchero here, so his usage goes up. He can score fantasy points in a bunch of different ways. And if he is getting after the ball, adding those steals and blocks, he has a real nice ceiling. He's put up 57 once, but has also, a string of 40-point games. Mid-30s, I would say, is likely for him, but we really want to see 40-plus, and I think he has a good chance of getting there. Next, we got CP3. He's only 5,900. He should play some solid minutes in this game. He's routinely around 38, but we have seen him get up to 32, 33, and it's in a great spot versus the Wizards. It's a pace-up spot. They aren't great versus the point guard. There's a lot of reasons to like CP3 in this matchup. Next, Delano Banton. Now, this is a little bit of a wild one. He's not playing a ton of minutes. He played 24 last night, 20 the night before, 12 the night before that. But there are some injury issues that we need to watch for Portland. Simons left the game last night, and we don't have an injury update yet, so that is one aspect. And if he's out, I would expect Banton to be back around that 22, 24-minute range. And what we've seen dating back to last year is when he gets on the court, he produces at a pretty high level, high clip So I'm definitely willing to take some shots here. Now, if everybody's healthy and playing for the Trailblazers, maybe I pull back on this one a little bit and don't play it. But I wanted to throw it out now because I think there is a possibility. And I love going after some spots where you have a guy that is producing at a very high fantasy per minute clip who could run into extra minutes. I think that's generally a fairly good way to get different. And he's interesting. But we got to watch injury news. Literally know nothing right now. As of right now, you have Simons playing. I would struggle to really be playing much Banton. All right, on DraftKings. Ryan Rollins, 37%. He is 3K. If he is playing, he did leave yesterday's game with an injury. If he is in, at 3K, he's pretty much a lock. So I think this is the big thing and big news that we got to watch today. If he plays, you're playing him. If he's not, there's going to be a shakeup, and there's some other bucks we can play. Jared McCain next, 4,500. Look, he is super interesting to me. So PG-13's out, Maxi's out, Embiid is out. He played 30 minutes last game, 31 the game before that, and 31 the game before that. I think he is locked in for 30. And what we have seen is he's produced pretty well when he's, on the floor. So I'm pretty excited to roll with some McCain. On FanDuel, he's a little bit more expensive, and I'm still willing to get to some over there. Shea, we talked about. Case and Wallace. Thunder have a slew of guys that are going to get 20 to 24 minutes or 26 minutes, and he's one of them. You can throw him in, but I do worry how much ceiling there really is in that play. On to shooting guard on FanDuel, we got Ryan Rollins, we got Anthony Edwards, and Keon Ellis. Anthony Edwards, Trailblazers were able to keep it close, and Edwards only put up 39. They were back against the Trailblazers. They lost, so Minnesota is going to be a bit hungry. There's no way they can come in to Portland and lose 2 in a row, and I just cannot see Anthony Edwards not being fired up to play this game. I'm fine with having some Ant. I'm not going to go super heavy on it, but I will absolutely have some. Ellis, we talked about. Shaedon Sharpe, 4,500. This is another spot we need to watch injuries. I was worried about his minutes coming into the game. He had 19 in his first start back from injury. Then he jumped to 33 minutes last night, likely due to the injury. It is also a back-to-back. He's coming off injury. He's questionable today. I mean, no idea what Portland will do in this spot. But if he's playing 30-plus minutes, he is super interesting. He was a pretty solid producer last season when he got his chance. So I'm very interested in him at 4,500. Next, let's get some more pivots. We got Malik Beasley, 4,600. He is likely going to start. There's no Jaden Ivey, no Tim Hardaway. They're already a little bit banged up. He probably plays a decent amount. He got 35 minutes last night, went for 28. I would expect he plays big minutes in this spot. Now, his fantasy per minute as a starter likely comes down a little from what it is coming off the bench, but he's going to play more minutes. I'm very interested in him, and I'm probably going to have a ton of Malik Beasley because I do think he's going to have the green light to just throw it up. Jalen Suggs, we talked about him. Interested in him. Toumani Camara. The thing here is that he is playing a ton of minutes. Averaging 30 on the season, but played 38 last night. 35 a few games ago. 37, 34. In a spot where there's multiple guys that could be injured, banged up, not playing, I think there's a very solid minute floor with him. While he's not a great producer, I think that ownership is going to go elsewhere for a value spot, and you could scoop up a nice spot where, you can kind of count on mid-20s. If he has a real good game, maybe 30s, and I'm okay with that at 4,400. I don't have a 40-point ceiling, which stinks, but still interested in the spot. And then we talked about Banton already, so let's get over to shooting guard on DraftKings. McCain, Beasley, Lou Dort. Got to talk about some Lou Dort. He's 16% owned versus the Pelicans. We were all over him last game. I figured he would play more minutes in the situation. He played 35. I think he's, him, Jalen Williams, and Shea are really going to be the three that play big minutes. Everybody else, 28, 30 minute-ish as starter, and then guys off the bench, 20, 24, something like that, is kind of how it goes off. The first guys off the bench, 20 to 24. So I think we can count on him for decent minutes. We have 4 games of him at least hitting 30 in, a span of 10 games. And now he gets probably a little extra usage, little solid minute floor. I think Lou Dort is pretty interesting versus Pelicans team. And we haven't talked about Jalen Noel, but we definitely need to. 3,400. Jose Alvarado is probably going to be out in this game, and he played 22 minutes last game. What we have seen from Noel is he produces decently as a guard when he gets his chance. We have him at 0.81 fantasy, or 0.86 fantasy points per minute coming off the bench. He likely plays a lot more minutes today. He is very interesting at near minimum. You could do much worse than going with some Noel, that is for sure. Now, getting over to small forward on FanDuel, we got Ant Edwards, Shaedon Sharpe, LeBron James. 9,900 is a bit pricey for me and James to go after James. I think he's a lock for low 50s, but I just don't see much ceiling past that. And I mean, you pay 600 and you're getting SGA, who just put up 80. LeBron's not putting up 80 on this night. So I would much rather pay up in some other spots than LeBron tonight. All right, pivots. We got Malik Beasley. We talked about him. Franz Wagner, 8,300. He put up 56 versus Charlotte. Now he's in a spot versus the Pacers. Another good spot. Very interested in going here. Without Banchero, he's just been a beast. 44, 46, 41, 56. Guy has a solid ceiling, and he's still not priced up enough. 40s is almost a lock for him in this role, so very interested with going to him. Tamani we talked about, and let's get it over to shooting guard on DK. Josh Hart, 6,600, 31% owned. Dude is playing a ton of minutes, 37, 38. He has a solid ceiling. He's hit 40 plus in 6 games. That's like, what is it, a 6? Yeah, so 10-game sample size. 60% of the time he's been 40 plus. That's 6x. He's in a solid matchup here versus the Bulls. So fire him up on DraftKings. 6,600 is just too cheap for how he produces, and that he can produce in so many different ways. It's not like he's reliant on the ball going to the basket, which is definitely added security. Ronald Holland, with all of the injuries on the Pistons, his minutes likely come up. We have him at 22 right now. If you want to play him, that's fine, but 22 minutes, the ceiling is going to be limited. But at 3K, he's at least of interest. Aaron Wiggins is a bit interesting at 4,600. He played 29 minutes last game in the start. If he gets that against the Pelicans, he probably pays off that salary. Power forward on FanDuel, LeBron James. Talked about him already. I'm not a big fan. Caleb Martin, 5,300. No PG-13, no Maxey. You can absolutely play some Caleb Martin here. No Embiid also. So I'm fine going there. The one thing, though, is the Cleveland Cavs have been extremely tough and never really want to face them. And, they're slow pace of play, but he's going to be on the court enough, and given the opportunity, he can get there. We can see 30 plus from him, maybe 40 plus if that shot's falling. I don't love the play, but I'm fine having some, and I'm going to have some. Giannis, 11.5K. I'm totally on the Giannis train. Look, there's no Lillard again. There's no Middleton. It is him going to be running the show, and we know there's that huge ceiling. He can absolutely go 70 plus, and that's really what we need if we're going to pay up, 11K. And he's done it twice this year. He can definitely do it again. Franz, I'm fine with. AD, here's another 11K guy I like. He's had, a couple rough games, but now he's back against Memphis. He had some good games versus them last year. It's a good matchup for a center spot. It's a pace up spot. There's a lot to like here. He's at home. The offense runs through him. JJ Redick wants him to go out and get the MVP award. There's just not many guys that have a floor that he does with a ceiling and consistency. I mean, he flirts with, over half his games, he's flirted with 60. We've seen 70 before. He can go to 80. Absolutely in on AD in this spot. Another high price guy that we can consider is Wemby. I do like that there's so many high price guys we can consider on this, because it's just going to spread this ownership out a little bit. But he's in a great spot versus Washington. It's a plus steals, plus block spot, and we know that's how he really gets his ceiling. So we have like 3 games already of 70 plus. He's 11.4. It comes with a very low floor, but the ceiling is so high, we can absolutely consider him and need to consider him in a very good matchup versus Wizards, who are 29th versus starting center. And power forward on DK, Josh Hart, Giannis, and Yabusele. 4,300 for Yabusele is fine, 20% owned. He has been playing some additional minutes because they aren't too happy with Drummond. It's a chance if you want to go there, fine. I just don't think there's a ceiling to really warrant it. And he's not producing high enough at a fantasy per minute level for me to really want to have a ton of him. We do have him at 30.5, and the level that he's been producing around 1 point per minute is enough to get there even in a tough matchup. But I think he's just as likely for 24 minutes as he is for 30, and that's my issue there, is that I think it's just really hard to figure out his minutes and play him at a little higher ownership. All right, center on FanDuel, Andre Drummond, 6,200, 21% owned. His minutes are the big issue here: 24, 22, 32, 15, 29, 28. They came into the season wanting to play him big minutes whenever Embiid was out, and then it just hasn't happened lately. They have been taking him off the court. Now he's in a very tough spot versus Cleveland. Do they need the size versus Cleveland? Yes, probably. So maybe he's on the field, on the court a little bit more. But the other thing is, the dude's producing at a 1.03 fantasy per minute clip, when last season he was at like 1.35. So, now we have a 10-game sample size of him playing this way and not that way. So I don't know if we can really keep chasing this Andre Drummond spot, especially at higher ownership. Brook Lopez, 4,900. With all their injuries, he's going to play a little bit more, few more minutes, have a little bit more usage. Definitely interested to go to Brook Lopez. It worked last game at 4,900. It's absolutely fine. He can go 40 plus. He's hit 37 plus in 4 of 10, so I'm absolutely fine going there. There is a ceiling. Jaren Jackson Jr., 7,900, 12% owned. I think we got to talk about JJJ, the Block Panther. He went nuts against Washington with 51. With no jaw, with no bane. He's like a 0.31 fantasy per minute guy. And that is dating back all the way through last season. So it's not like we have a small sample size of him doing it. It's a pretty big sample size. And now he's in a good spot for the Lakers. Absolutely should consider him. But with him and Wemby, anybody that is going to rely on blocks and steals to really get there, there's a wide range of outcomes. I'm fine taking some chances on JJJ. And then everybody else on the center spot we have already talked about. So let's move it over on to DraftKings. Giannis, Cat, Yabusele. Karl Anthony Towns, 8,700. I am 100% fine going here. I have been on him all season long. This price just still is not high enough. The Bulls have been pushing scoring into the paint. Cat can score wherever. He's had 60 twice. He's had over 50 twice. Or sorry, 3 times. He's been at 48. He's been mid-40s. The guy is just still priced too low. He should be in the 9Ks. I am 100% fine taking some Cat. And that shall do it for us today, guys. I hope you all have a great evening. Let's make some money. There will be no NBA DFS show tomorrow because there's only one game, but we will be back on Friday. You guys have a good one. Good luck. Let's make some money. Peace.